Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. Today, we have Jim Black with us. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Chris, for having me on. It's an honor to be on your show, and I've been following you for a very long time. So thank you so much.
It is my pleasure. And man, with your production volumes, especially in this year, there's some incredible value that I'm sure we're going to stumble upon today. So, for everybody that's listening that may not know who you are, can you give us a little bit of your background and like an outline of your team and your structure right now?
Sure. I've been doing loans for 22 years. I've been fortunate to help about 8,500 families personally with the dream of homeownership. I got started in my career as a Wall Street market maker trader. And that journey took me from being in a job that was very stressful and more of a sprint to shift to more of a marathon lifestyle around helping families with the creation of wealth, not just asset managers make more billions more dollars on their return for their portfolio. So I took that kind of corporate view and got rid of that and came back to really being a personal influencer, advisor in large decisions in life. And I currently own a mortgage company. It's called Revest Homes, and I have a real estate company. And I also have involved with 6 different fintech startups. So I'm an advisor and an investor in those also. So it's safe to say I love this industry and I love helping people with big life decisions, specifically around financing.
That is amazing. And you can definitely see the fintech background on your website. Your website is beautiful
Oh, thanks.
and really well done.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
So, tell me a little bit about your team, the business structure. Obviously, I mean, advising in all of the startups, plus being part owner in a bank and all of that. You're all kinds of different directions all day long. So, what does the team look like to be able to produce the type of production that you're doing?
Absolutely. Like any sport analogy, you're as good as your weakest link. So fortunately for me, I'm the weakest link. And I'm lucky to have 2 great production managers that manage my pipeline of opportunity. They're licensed teammates of mine. I call them production managers. They are also processors, and they help manage my production only. And what's nice about that is I have consistent process expectations and follow-up procedures that are the same on every transaction type. So everyone can feel comfortable and know that they're going to get a great level of communication, and that sometimes someone on my team may be a better voice than I am in my own production. So I always try to empower my team around me to help facilitate the opportunity for me to stay in the relationship part of this business, because too many people don't give up enough. I want to empower other people to be leaders. And in doing that, you're able to then get more of your bandwidth back to be able to then get more relationships or dive deeper into those transactions and turn them from transactions into relationships. And that's my whole goal, I believe, is I'm a relationship manager at heart. And I believe if I have the right teammates around me, I can really focus the right time and energy on those focuses that matter most to me and hopefully the client.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And the more and more that I dive into a lot of these hyper successful businesses in the mortgage industry and outside of the mortgage industry, you really start to realize that the visionary or the person who runs the company is the relationship manager. They go out and go into the marketplace, marketing, advertising, networking, relationships, whatever it is. They bring those opportunities in and they put them into a process. The process takes care of that person all the way to the end result and then spits them back out, where then again, relationship management happens and it comes back into that ecosystem. And so from A to Z, I'm very interested in how you set that process up. So you bring somebody in, are you involved in the initial application taking stage? And then just, from a high level, what does that look like as far as the process?
Absolutely. So I have to find a connection, number one, right? I have to make a connection. It's the whole model of the go-giver: know, like, trust, and then refer. I have to find the connection, right? Like you and I, when we had started this call today, we found the common connections of an event that I went to that you put on, and that was the connection. And that made it a lot easier to have a conversation and feel connected. So my goal is to find those common connections to make sure that I'm authentic and that I can relate to the people that I'm interacting with. I like to let people know that I'm a real person. I'm not perfect. I always like to give some facts about that I've been a homeowner myself. I've owned 18 homes in my life. So I know what they're going through personally. I've been through that experience. So I try to relate with all parties on those stresses that can happen. Once I set that connection up, then it's a formality, in my opinion. I've already kind of had a conversation. I'm not the kind of guy that's taking like social security number and writing it down and that stuff. I am trying to find out the objectives of the client. What are your objectives? If I can solve the objective at hand, then I'm going to be someone that's counted on as a trusted partner. If I'm rattling off things that aren't important because I haven't got that objective figured out, it's over their head, or it's not something they want to listen to, and then they move on. So I have to do a good job of listening, connecting, building rapport, and making sure that I understand clearly what their goals are. And once I do that, then it's formalities around applications are all through portals now. It's all online. It's pretty much automated. But my team then picks up that data once it's brought in, deciphers it, processes it, puts it all together, and then I circle back with custom approaches and solutions. And I think people make the mistake of not offering more than one solution. As a loan officer or trusted advisor or mortgage advisor, whatever, the word advisor is in there. Advising means that you prepare solutions and help someone, advise them on what the best solution is for them, but they decide, right? They choose. So a lot of loan officers at large banks don't make multiple choices. They don't have a custom approach. They offer one type of loan. Here it is, take it or leave it. And I think it's a big mistake in our industry. And I love when I'm introduced to a client or a relationship, they're able to see that right away, that I'm hopefully a step above what was important to them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that is so crucial. And so you bring them into the process, you make sure they've got the right options, they get the right product, they come through, they have a phenomenal experience. And what do you do as soon as the deal is closed and then over time in order to nurture that relationship and make sure that they're a client for life?
Yeah, so my first experience buying a house, this was in 2001. I got screwed by the loan officer, who I won't name. They added a $14,000 fee at the closing table.
Whoa.
So why these rules now apply to our industry is because of things that happened even to me personally, where I got at 22 years old, $14,000 is a lot of money, of extra money on top of the down payment, was just taken from me arbitrarily because the loan officer wanted to be charging more. And so I vowed to everyone in this industry, and I even called that gentleman who somehow did not get his license taken away. I called him and said, "Hey, Mr. So-and-so, I'm in your same marketplace. And guess what? I'm paying this fee because I learned a valuable lesson, and I will make sure that no one else does that. And I am going to be excited at the day that I can say I've hopefully captured more business or relationships from that person who's doing bad things to give someone a better situation and outcome." So what I do is I always give a copy of the note and the net settlement statement to the borrower before they sign, like a day or two before, so they can review it, feel comfortable. And that sets up the relationship post-closing, in my opinion, also, because they know exactly what they're getting before they sign. And then they know that if they ever have any questions, they can come back to me because I've been honest, trustworthy, and genuine the entire way through, and transparent. And they then get put into a home ownership hub. I'm very fortunate to have a fantastic company that I work with called Milestones. And that company allows us to have a home ownership journeys where for the life of the borrower, they can have a virtual financial backpack to put all of their stuff in that's important to them. If it's their home insurance warranty, if it's their closing statement, if it's a tax document, if it's the contract, whatever it might be, they have a place that they can go to get all that information, and I can stay relevant as a trusted advisor. And I'm there when they need me. I'm not bugging them with spam about, the latest recipe for, Halloween, for Thanksgiving. I'm there when they need me. And I think that's super important for us professionals. Is I don't want to be in your way, but if you raise the flag or you put up the bat signal for me and say, I need help, I'm there in a matter of seconds. And I think that's very important.
It's so critical. And there's so many people. It's like, here's your loan. Thank you. Most likely you're not going to hear from me. Like setting that expectation that you're there and you've got a client for life. I mean, it's great for the client, but it's imperative for repeat and referral business.
Yeah. And as you know, people forget the name of the real estate company, the realtor, the bank, the lender, all that stuff. The one thing they don't forget, ironically, is how much they owe every month. So it's funny how they can remember the exact payment they have, but they can't remember my name. So that means I have to do better. I have to be relevant, providing value to things that matter to them. Again, going back to their objectives, right? Is to stay abreast of those things that are important and be there with all those journeys ahead. So.
Yep. Yeah, I could not agree more. Now, you mentioned relationships being the core fundamental driver of the business. So I'm interested, where do you see the majority of your business coming from? I'm interested if it's past customers, is it referral partners? What does that look like? And then diving into, how you build those relationships on the front end.
Absolutely. So I love markets that are tough like this. I know it sounds crazy to hear, but I love it because people will go to the people they really trust when they have a big decision to make. I've been lucky in my 22-year career to have been through 3 hard cycles, right? We know 08, 09, 2010, that was not exciting for anybody, but I galvanized my name then by being someone that was there to provide value and help people.
Yep.
And so what I think is the most valuable thing that I provide is just honest truth from experience and making sure that we look 3 steps ahead of potentially positive or negative things that can happen so that people are prepared. So they are thanking me a few years from now if they have had a negative outcome, but they are prepared for it, they're okay. And so I get a lot of referrals from past clients, from other industry leaders, people that are attorneys, CPAs, financial planners, and also my real estate environment I'm in Northern California. I'm in a small market in Santa Cruz County, California, which is on the coast. And we only have like 200 to 300 homes for sale every month. It's not a lot,
Wow.
but I've done a good job, and I can do a better job every day of trying to provide value for those agents that trust me to make sure that they have an advantage for their clients in the marketplace. So again, adding innovative products like bridge loans or reverse mortgages or other strategies that are relevant for that client's needs helps my partners get better outcomes and better results. And they can focus their time on the highest and best use of their time. Because a lot of realtors need help in that regard. I need to be able to tell them out of 10 clients, here's someone that I would focus my energy on versus driving around on the weekend with a Starbucks and burning gas with someone who's not qualified. So I feel like I'm part of that team, and it is a team element. Everyone has to be on the same team where we are in our world today. If people have different agendas, that sometimes can get in the way of success. So it's a team approach. So I hopefully attract people by my results, by my added value, and that they come back for more.
Yeah. And that team approach, I think, is so critical because you mentioned financial planners, investment advisors. Like oftentimes for loan officers, those are really difficult nuts to crack to get into those marketplaces. And you do a lot of life event style business. So can you talk about how looking at like client life events and your relationships with your financial planners and investment advisors, how that all ties together and how you've incorporated that into your mortgage business?
Absolutely. So I'm honored when a first-time homebuyer works with us. I'm honored when a senior that's moving into a retirement situation trusts us also. I love working with veterans. I love working with doctors, with frontline people, teachers. To me, if I can provide value in a life event, that's where I get the true reward from what I do. Yeah, sure, the money's great, but it's doing this for 22 years. If you're not feeling like you're a passionate person about helping someone's life, this can get old really quick. I've seen successful people burn out because they think they've made their money versus helping people. And so I believe that it's so imperative that be there for life events. Life events can be anything from positive to negative situations. And again, going back to the team approach, when those life events happen, those team members have to come together and work as a unit to resolve the situation and make sure that the outcome is the best it can be for the client. So it's the same thing in a purchase transaction as it is with a refinance with a divorce attorney or a estate planner or someone like that. It's just different pieces of the puzzle, but we're all still helping solve that puzzle and give the best outcome we can.
Yeah. And that's, I'm sure, critical to getting repeat business. Like if you look at a divorce attorney, an unfortunate part of the market cycle that we're going through, divorces are on the rise, a lot of stress, fear out there in the marketplace leads to more divorces. But if you look at the other side of the coin, that's an opportunity in the mortgage business to really help people when they need to be helped at that particular moment. So when you get that first opportunity with, let's say, a divorce attorney, how are you making sure that it's not just a transaction, that it becomes a relationship and that you get multiple referrals over time from that partner that you've had the opportunity to work with?
Yeah, great question. Again, I think it's just following up, helping provide communication where we can,
Mm.
helping provide forward guidance, and just making sure that the journey is not over once the loan closes or once the keys are handed over, because life events happen. If you're working with estate planners, they have trusts that are updated every year. I'm updating mine literally today. So like, those are evolving things. Or generational wealth,
Yeah.
right? If someone passes away, grandma passes away and wants to gift funds to the grandkids so that they can have the dream of homeownership one day, or how does that work? So I'm as curious to learn as I am as much as I'm giving advice, because every day I learn and it helps my own life and my own personal family situation out too. So you got to be a learner. Learners are earners, as you know. And I just feel like that's what we got to do. And just being professional, putting yourself in the person's shoes, not talking above them or below them, and treating them with respect and dignity and hard things that happen. I've had life events happen in my life. Things aren't perfect. And again, relating to those things that are important is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And you don't get that from a call center in terms of like one of the large lenders that out of Detroit, Michigan. You don't get that from some 12-year-old kid that's on the phone trying to take an application and just meet his quota for a loan versus helping the family.
Yep. Yeah, I could not agree more. Jim, thank you for being so generous with your time. I have one follow-up question that's,
Sure, fire away.
all for me. So the name of the podcast is the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. And it's all about obviously making sure that you've got a healthy, sustainable business so that you're generating the income so that you can long-term build wealth. But it's not very often that I get to get into the topic of actual like true wealth. And I know that you've gone through and done a ton of studying and a ton of actual work on the investment management side of things. You're an investor in startups, fintech. So I'm interested, at what point in your career did you transition from like, okay, I've got this mortgage business, I'm making this money. When did you transition to becoming an investor? And then how do you approach your life now that you're on the other side of that and you're kind of looking back of this like evolving past just like I own a business and it makes money to becoming an investor?
Yeah, and I love your story too, by the way. So I'd like to have you on my podcast soon to share your story, because my podcast is called Know Before You Owe. So ironically, it's similar idea, right? Wealth, decisions, success, hopefully. So great question. I think if you're a student of something and have a passion for something, you're going to continue to evolve, continue to shift, adapt, be flexible to change. We all have the same sandbox we play in, right? It's just how you decide to play in that sandbox. My formula for how I get involved with things is if I use a tool or a source or a resource and it positively affects my business or my team, then I get very curious again about being an investor. I become a client first, so I get to know someone. Then I get to trust them, and then I get to work with them. And so I've taken that step in every single startup I'm involved with. And it's a 7-figure investment on my end, which is I don't know if my wife knows that, but it's to me, it's if you're all in on something,
Yeah.
you believe in something, you have a passion for it, and you see the results, why not incorporate that into your client's life? Why not incorporate that to your own personal life and decisions you make around wealth? Because these companies have amazing leaders that have been at some of the highest levels, owning the largest real estate franchises in the world, or largest mortgage companies, or developed technologies that are amazing things that are at the forefront of change. And so I get to be in the same category as them as a listener and learner. So I've pretty much like paid my way to get into the level to be able to be part of their peer system, but I'm forever a student. I finished a fintech program on Monday, which is a Harvard X fintech program around like the digital dollar and how blockchain and cryptocurrencies all are going to change the way the mortgage and real estate business operates. So I'm doing that now to prepare myself for the vision 5 years from now, just like you're doing. I love your story about how you spend focused time developing your plan around helping grow your business. You've done some amazing things. I'm very jealous of being able to get away and really redevelop and reimagine the way you do business. And I'm excited to work with you and have a lot of respect for you and your company. So
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Jim, and that goes both ways.
thank you.
Um, and thank you again for being on the show. Now, if there's anybody out there listening that would like to get more information, where do they follow you? Where do they get more information about you? How do people reach out?
Absolutely. So my website's very easy, meetjimblack.com, like meet Joe Black, meet Jim Black. And I own a company called Revest Loans, Revest, Revest as in like real estate investing. And my tagline is revest in you, because to me, if you aren't making the investment back in yourself in life, it's a hard journey. So why not reinvest time in yourself and make yourself better by surrounding yourself with great people like you, Chris, and other professionals that you have on your podcast. So
That is amazing. Well, again, thank you, Jim, for being on the show. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for listening. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.